Welcome back to my channel, Real Estate People. I hope you pumped up right now because I got some juice for you today. I got some juice to get you some more leads, to get you to make an offer today, to get you closer to your first deal. I want you to get your first deal. I want you to get plenty of deals after that when it comes to this wholesale and real estate thing, because it's about to go crazy right now. It's the last quarter of 2020 and the housing market is still up. People still need to sell their house, and even more people gonna need to sell their house. And it's up to you to close that gap and make it happen. So with that being said, you need to subscribe to my channel because I got more and more value and content coming up for you to get you successful in this wholesaling thing, this thing we call wholesaling real estate. Subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna keep making these videos, stuff that no one else is making videos on. I want to put down so you guys can pick up and get to your first deal and get that big check. So subscribe, like. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and so you can find me Mike_the Negotiator. And yeah, let's jump right into it. How can you get a contract or wholesale a deal that is listed with a real estate agent? Is it possible? Can you do it? You definitely can. Like I said, it's a house that needs to be sold, and someone needs to buy a house, and you're going to be the one that puts those pieces together. Once again, though, welcome to my channel. So when it comes to doing a deal with a realtor or a listed property, it's going to be slightly different. The lingo is going to be a little different. Your approach is going to be a little different, but it's most definitely going to be the same end result, where you're meeting at the closing table, signing documents. They're happy, you get a check, and everyone's happy. So what you need to do is, let's say, for instance, you already have been eyeballing a property on Zillow or Redfin or Trulia, one of the sites that you list properties with agents with. What you're going to do then is, maybe this property is in a booming area, or it just looks like a property that maybe needs some restoration before it can sell. So you might see an old beat up house being sold for market value or a little bit lower than market value, and you're like, who's gonna buy this house? Or maybe it's been sitting on the MLS or on Zillow for more than 100 days, just for an example. It's just been sitting up there, but you see some value in it. Or you have a cash buyer that's like, Mike, bring me more deals, whatever it is, I'll look it over and I can put an offer down. So if you have that in your pocket and you see there's a opportunity here, shoot your shot is basically what it comes down to. So once again, I have videos on running your numbers and what your comps and ARVs, all that needs to be right for your investor or your buyer to feel comfortable purchasing the contract from you. So how this works is, you see the property online. Now you're going to contact the real estate agent, but you can't come at these real estate agent, realtors, real estate agents, just any type of way. You cannot waste these people time. They have showings to do. They have paperwork to do. They have a lot of things going on. They got a personal life. So you can't just be calling them, oh yeah, I want to buy this house, or you can't waste their time, because once you do, they already can't take you serious. When you'll notice, as soon as you talk to them, they're going to be very quick. Okay, how can I help you? And you have to be an investor. You're not a wholesaler. You don't call them and say, oh, well, I'm a wholesaler and I have guys that buy properties from me all the time. They don't even know what you're talking about 70% of the time, probably 80% of the time. Realtors live in the realtor world. You live in the wholesaling world. It's the same thing, but the lingo's different, the time's different, and you need to connect those dots and make it official for the realtor to understand you. So you need to call them as an investor. Hey, Mr. Realtor, how you doing? My name is Mike. Is this property still available at blank, blank, blank Main Street? Sure, Mike, it's still available. How can I help you? Well, I buy properties, honestly, to invest and flip. And, I like to put a little money into them and get some equity out of them. So I'm a cash buyer. I close usually in about 15 to 25 days. I'm interested in this one. What's the best offer you'll take right now? and you guys may have a conversation. You don't even have to approach it how I just said, but that's a good introduction to a realtor so they take you serious from the get-go, because it is a serious conversation. So once you establish that, they say, well, they are motivated and they, so far, no one's really made an offer below X amount of dollars. Say, okay, Mr. Realtor, I appreciate that. Let me run my numbers. I'll get back to you in, 1 to 2 hours. Let me see what I can do. Click, hang up. You should have already done your numbers and you should already know what you're trying to do with this property before you even call the realtor. Because like I said, time is money for these people. Time is money for you as well. So you're not just guessing, can this be a deal? You already knew it was a deal before you called them at the number you wanted. So if the house is listed at 200,000, let's say market value, but it's beat up, needs some work, you ran your ARV and your comps numbers, so you know what the rehab costs are going to be, and that you can only offer 140K, 120K, maybe it's 80,000 less than what they have it listed for. That doesn't matter because you don't know how much motivation this person has. You know, as an investor, what the property is going to sell for once you put your money into it and fix it up, and that you can close with cash in 20 days. So like I said, as a wholesaler, you're always eliminating all the risks for the seller and the cash buyer. You want to make it the best process possible. So when you make that offer, you need to understand that my cash buyer is going to buy it. The seller has to understand why you're buying it at that price. You know your number and you make an offer. So you call back Mr. Realtor. Hey, Mr. Realtor. So, I understand they have it listed at 200. But once again, what I do is I broke down what it's going to cost to make it look like 2020 appearance. The realtor already knows the game. So, you have to be too in depth with him. But I already know, what I have to put into this property. And it's coming to already about 60 to 80,000, 60 to $70,000 in rehab costs for me to buy it with cash, put some money into it, and sell it to someone, a family, at the market price. So, the realtor is going to come back to you and say, well, okay, I appreciate your offer, Mike, because they're working for the seller. They're trying to get the home sold. If it's been a house just lagging on the market for 100 days, the realtor's getting nervous. Usually their contract's only for about 90 days to sell it. So if it's over that or getting close to, the realtor's like, I do need to sell this thing. And I do need to make my seller happy, So you say, hey, the best I can do, 115K. I'm going to close this thing out in 18 days. I'll pay all cash. Tell them, of course, I'm taking care of all the closing costs. So you go back to the realtor. The realtor says, thanks, Mike, for your offer. I'm going to talk to my sellers and see what they say. You're going to have some back and forth probably. Maybe they'll accept, maybe they won't. Do not be afraid to offend the seller. Now, I'm not saying make a crazy offer like I'll give you 50,000 and it's, you can get 110,000 because you're thinking, well, I'll make a $50,000 check. Don't do that. Don't burn your bridges and don't look like a fool. Make sure your numbers make sense, your offer makes sense, and the realtor comprehends that to relay it to the seller. That's going to be the key. The communication is always key. So make sure you relay that information as best as possible to the realtor. He understands where your head's at, and he can say, Mike did give me a good offer when you look at it in perspective. Your home is not anywhere up to 2020 standards, which is why we haven't been able to get a good offer on it. And he's an investor. He is going to pay cash. We don't have to wait for a conventional loan 30 to 60 days for this to close, and a buyer potentially can't close. This guy, Mike, he's coming in and he said he'll give us cash and we can close and be done with this thing in 20 days. So, that's good news to a seller, typically. Maybe they'll counter offer and go a little higher. You probably want to go a little lower on your initial offer to make them think like, oh man, my house is really that bad. So if you need to get it at 120,000 said and done, you might tell them, best I could do is, 110,000. It's a negotiation game like always. But nonetheless, you've contacted the realtor, and what the realtor is going to do is, hey, Mike, they accepted the offer. Either you're going to send them your contract as an as-is contract, or the realtor will send you an offer agreement. In the offer agreement, you need to let the realtor know, Mr. Realtor, that's great. This is great news. We're going to get my team on it right away, but I do need to have the clause of an assignable contract inside the offer agreement. Not sure if I'm going to do this in my LLC, my personal name, or in my partner's name. So please understand that and put that clause inside of the contract for me. Realtor, they may know how investors work and they may not, but they're going to understand. They know what an assignment is inside of a contract. So once again, they insert that into the contract, the offer agreement. You sign the offer agreement. You are into a legal binding contract with the seller. And so you need to make sure you read over it. You need to consult with a real estate attorney, because I'm not here giving legal advice and I'm not a real estate attorney myself. So just make sure you're clear on everything in the contract, from state to state, city to city, county to county. You can even ask the realtor questions or another realtor if you need to for a little bit of guidance. But nonetheless, once you have the offer agreement signed, you're in a contract, you let your cash buyer know, hey, I got a deal. It's right here. It is listed and you're going to make some good money on this thing. Let's go ahead. Would you like to move forward? Here's the deal. So you have the contract now. You now have a wholesale agreement. And you can let your cash buyers know, hey, who wants this? I know it's listed here, but I got it down here and it's a steal. So I hope this helps. Don't be afraid to talk to realtors. Don't be afraid to talk to sellers. You just need to know your numbers and be confident when you're talking to these people. Hope this video helps. I got more and more coming. Comment. I like to reply to comments and questions all the time. But yes, sir, there's lots of money to be made out there. Keep it moving, baby.